Okay, so before we go through this video, hopefully you watched the one on unit circle because it will come to play. Hopefully this will show up. I basically did all the work and now I'm just going to just kind of show you what I did. So if they tell me that the sine of theta is square root 302, first of all, I'm not sure if there is a negative there. I'm going to assume it's a positive there. Well, where is sine square root 3 over 2? Well, remember, sine is y. It's positive in the first and second quadrants, right? And the reference angle, let's call it, for square root 3 over 2 is 60 degrees. Sine of 60, or pi over 3, is square root 3 over 2. So that means I'm going to go pi over 3 in quadrant 1, pi over 3 in quadrant 2. Well, quadrant 1 is easy, right? Because that will just be pi over 3. But here's the first trick. Remember, a 180 is a pi, right? So since we're doing thirds, pi is also 3 pi over 3. So when I want to do pi over 3 in the second quadrant, I'm actually going to do 3 pi over 3 minus pi over 3, which is 2 pi over 3. And I hope that makes sense. Is remember, you're always referencing the x-axis. And pi in this case, just think of it as 3 pi over 3. So pi over 3 into quadrant 2 means I go backwards pi over 3. So if I take pi, 3 pi over 3, take away a pi over 3, I know that this angle right here is 2 pi over 3. And you could see that, by the way, in your unit circle, right? Now, if you're allowed to use a unit circle, of course, you would just look for square root 3 over 2 right here, which is 2 pi over 3. But I don't have the unit circle in front of me, so I'm kind of doing it old school. All right, let's look at number 2. Where is cosine negative square root 3 over 2? Well, again, you can look at the unit circle, and you should realize that it's pi over 6 in quadrants 2 and 3, right? Again, all you have to do is look for the negative square root 3 over 2 for, remember, cosine is your x, so it's the first coordinate, right? And so therefore, this up here is 5 pi over 6. This down here is 7 pi over 6. Number 3, this one, all I'm going to do is divide by negative 3 both sides. So where is tangent a negative square root 3 over 3? So if you filled that in like I told you, all you have to do is look at the unit circle and know that tangent is negative in quadrant 2 and quadrant 4. And you just have to look for this, which will be 2 pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3, right? And hopefully I won't make any mental errors because, again, I did everything in my head. I didn't have a unit circle in front of me. All right, number 4. If I divide by 3, I still get sine theta equal to 0. Again, looking at unit circle, where is sine 0? Sine is 0 at 0 and pi. Number 5. Where is cosine 0? Again, look at your unit circle. It's at 90 and 270, but your teacher's probably going to want radians. So 90 is pi over 2. 270 is 3 pi over 2. Number 6, I would solve by minusing 5 here both sides. So tangent is supposed to be 1. Where is tangent 1? That's where sine and cosine are the same or at 45-degree angles, right? Well, tangent is positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 3. Again, you should be able to just look at your unit circle, and you will know the answer is pi over 4, and pi over 4 into the third quadrant is 5 pi over 4. Number 7, if I add 5, the only trick is you have to remember that 5 is the same thing as 10 divided by 2, and 10 halves minus the 9 halves here is 1 half. So the real problem is, when is sine equal to 1 half? Well, sine is positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 2, right? And sine is 1/2 when it's 30 degrees, or pi over 6. And in quadrant 2, it's 5 pi over 6. Number 8. Now this one looks crazy, so the trick is right here. We want to distribute this 4. So negative 16 divided by 4 is negative 4. Square root 2 divided by 4 is plus square root 2 over 4. Now you should notice I can add 4 to both sides and get rid of the negative 4s. And then I can times both sides by 2 to get rid of this 1/2 in front of the cosine, right? Use its reciprocal. And 2 times square root 2 over 4. Well, 2 over 4 reduces to 1/2, so I get square root 2 over 2. Now, where is cosine equal to square root 2 over 2? You should know the reference angle is 45 degrees, or pi over 4. And cosine is positive in quadrant 1 and in quadrant 4. So using 45 or pi over 4, I know it's going to be pi over 4. Again, you're looking at your unit circle, and 7 pi over 4 when I'm in quadrant 4. Okay, number 9. All I had to do here was add 5 to both sides. And now I know that tangent theta should be 0. Well, where is tangent 0? It's wherever sine is 0. Because remember, tangent sine over cosine, right? So if sine is 0, then it makes the whole fraction 0. Well, that's at 0 and pi. Number 10. Here's that trick again. I would divide by 4 here. Negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. Negative square root 3 divided by 4 is minus square root 3 over 4. I would then add 3 to both sides to get rid of this negative 3. And then notice right here, I'm using the reciprocal of this. So the reciprocal of negative 3 over 4 is negative 4 over 3. So I'm timesing both sides by negative 4 over 3. Notice the 4's cancel out. The negatives cancel out. So all I have is square root 3 over 3. So where is tangent square root 3 over 3? Tangent is positive in 1 and in quadrant 3. And the reference angle is 30 degrees, or pi over 6. But again, you're looking at your unit circle, so you should know the answers are pi over 6 and 7 pi over 6. Number 11. Again, the trick is this right here. You'll notice right here, I'm dividing by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And of course, that's square root 2 over 2. Now I can minus 2 both sides, right? And now I have this right here, of course. And then I'm going to go ahead and minus square root 2 over 2 both sides. And that's how I know I get sine theta must be negative square root 2 over 2. Of course, at the beginning, I skipped it by accident. I added 4 sine to both sides to get my sines together. Okay? But now that I have it here, I know sine is negative in quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. I know square root 2 over 2 tells me it's a 45 degree type angle, or pi over 4s, right? So looking here, I know it's 5 pi over 4. Looking here in quadrant 4, it's 7 pi over 4. And then on number 12, I started by adding 4 to both sides. That got rid of the minus 4s. I then divided by negative 8. That got rid of this negative 8. So cosine theta equals, and 4 over 8 is 1/2. So I get negative square root 3 over 2. Well, where is cosine negative? It's in quadrant 2 in quadrant 3, I know square root 3 over 2 is a 30-degree type angle, or pi over 6. But of course, you're just going to look at your unit circle and go, okay, where's that pi over 6 in quadrant 2? Well, that's 5 pi over 6. Where is negative square root 3 over 2 here in quadrant 3? That's 7 pi over 6. So I did go a little fast. But again, you can always rewind and watch this video again and pause it, right? So that's all 12 problems on this worksheet. And again, I'm assuming you're at least allowed to use a unit circle, and you got to really know that unit circle, right? You got to know your 30-degree or pi over 6s. You got to know your 45 pi over 4s. You got to know your 60, which are pi over 3s, right? All of that, of course, is in your unit circle.